Hello, my name is Martin Kennedy and I'm a beef and sheep hill farmer from Highland Perthshire, and I'm currently one of two Vice Presidents of NFU Scotland. Climate change and how we deal with it is something that will dictate our future for generations to come. If we choose to ignore it, then the future is bleak. But if we listen to the science, which is evolving all the time, then there will be a fantastic opportunity to maintain a sustainable future for all our species. From a farming and crofting perspective, there are three main topics at the top of the agenda, and they are all linked: food production, climate change mitigation, and environmental enhancement. From a Scottish perspective, if we take a holistic approach to all three of these issues and are given the right tools in the toolbox to address them, then we in Scotland will be in pole position to lead the world on how to reverse the current situation. In global terms, Scotland is already starting from a good position, but we need to recognise that more can be done. Scotland's topography dictates the vast diversity in methods of food production, from soft fruit and veg in our limited lowland, low fertile lands to sheep meat production from our highest mountains. And although this brings challenges in creating opportunities for each sector to play its part, in most cases this can definitely be achieved. The agricultural sector is willing to change, to highlight that instead of being seen as part of the problem, it is in fact part of the solution. However, this change which has already seen a remarkable reduction in emissions since 1990, will have to move faster to meet the targets set out by government, but at the same time will have to be managed in a way that still allows us to produce local, high quality nutritious food in a profitable manner. If this is not managed carefully, then we will simply offshore our emissions by way of imports from other countries who do not share the same concerns for climate change or indeed the environment, not to mention the social economic impact this would have on many of our rural communities. So what can we do and what are the options? Well, there are some real easy wins here if we grab the bull by the horns. First of all, we need a change in agricultural support policy which is based on activity rather than simply the occupation of land. We have far too much land that is being neglected as a result of this system, as there is not enough incentive to improve on soil health, which not only helps the productivity of the farm, but makes a huge impact on the ability of the soil to hold more carbon through sequestration. Improving on productivity through better soil management also leads to lesser emissions of nitrous oxide, as additional nutrient input is more targeted, leading to better uptake from the plants. The knock-on effect of this from a livestock perspective is better grass growth and a forage quality which leads to shorter finishing times, again reducing methane production. The arable sector has led the way on soil health in Scotland, and a recent independent scientific report has highlighted that over the last 30 years there has been no carbon loss from our soils in Scotland, which is something in our arable areas, which is something we're extremely proud of. That said, the sector is willing to add to this positive message by continuing to improve on soil health to increase carbon stocks. The greatest opportunity for improvement on soil health lies with the livestock sector, particularly beef and sheep, and I'll highlight what we have done at home here to improve on this in a moment. However, all too often this sector gets criticised for the damage caused through methane emissions. It is absolutely true that there are significant emissions of methane from ruminants such as cattle and sheep, and these emissions must be reduced. However, it must be recognised that methane is in fact a flow pollutant, not a stock pollutant. The difference being that a flow pollutant is part of a sequestration cycle through photosynthesis. So there is no overall increase in carbon emissions, whereas carbon continues to build in the atmosphere and remains there for a few hundred years. This is very relevant from a Scottish perspective, and that 85% of our agricultural land is deemed a less favoured area, which makes anything other than livestock farming a real challenge and, in most cases, impossible. However, given our climatic conditions and our topography, we are extremely well placed to produce high quality protein through grazing livestock. This is also where my point earlier comes in with regard to taking a more holistic approach, as proper grazing management helps not only in terms of growing organic matter levels in the soil, which again helps with carbon capture, but has the added benefits of creating a better environment for biodiversity. Many conservation bodies will now tell you that to maintain a biodiverse environment, you must have a grazing management programme in place. Another added benefit never mentioned is livestock's ability to limit the risk of wildfires by keeping vegetation in check. These events result in massive carbon losses to the atmosphere. 4 years ago, we entered into a 5-year programme of soil mapping the farm to see what the state of play was with levels of phosphate, potash and magnesium, and also measured the pH of the soil. The results have been incredible. We have discovered that we are extremely high in phosphate to the extent it would be affecting nutrient uptake of the plants. This was probably as a result of continuous applications of a 2-1-1 type fertiliser. Since then, and probably for a few years to come, we will only be applying a very limited amount of phosphate till we get back to a better balance. This has not only saved the business around £30 per tonne on fertiliser, but has improved the productivity of the soil. We also now, through this mapping process, apply lime at a variable rate through GPS technology linked to the tractor from the results of the samples taken from each individual hectare. The arable sector are again in front here, with many also using variable rate fertiliser application. Time is not on our side, so if we want to lead from the front, we need to act now. Using science and technology is the way to drive change in all sectors of agriculture to allow us to play our part in climate change mitigation. But this will require long-term government commitment. NFU Scotland and the wider Scottish agricultural industry are keen to work with Scottish Government to deliver on their ambitious climate change targets, but we need to be supported to meet the transformational changes that are required. Thank you.